Well, covering stories that matter to you around the Coastal Bend, here's what's making headlines today. Nueces County is a victim to a cyber attack. How much money was taken, plus new legislation is being pushed over START testing. And
giving a voice to the voiceless. I'm Michaela Chavez in Nueces County. I'll tell you about a program that's getting support from both the state and the county.
KRIS 6 News at 5 starts right now. Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Clara Benitez Cortez. We'll get to those stories in just a bit, but first at 5, tragedy in Minnesota following a mass shooting at a Catholic school there. 2 children are dead and 17 other people are hurt after a gunman opened fire at the school this morning. The children were at mass celebrating the beginning of a new school year. Police say the suspect was armed with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol and died by suicide at the scene. The attack shaking up this community.
My mom was waiting outside of the church when it happened. I was scared that I wasn't going to see her because I didn't know what was happening really. I was just in shock.
Investigators say the motive for the attack is still unclear, but they're calling it, quote, a deliberate act of violence against children and other people worshiping. Now, the Diocese of Corpus Christi is also speaking out over today's tragedy. Bishop Michael Mulvey providing this statement saying, quote, let us remain vigilant in prayer for the victims, their families, and school community, and all those affected. May God grant them comfort, healing, and strengthen in this time of pain. Now, state lawmakers are pushing for a change in the classroom. Instead of one STAR exam at the end of the school year, some lawmakers want to break it into 3 smaller tests to be administered at the start, middle, and end of the school year. Lawmakers say this change would also give students their results faster with quicker feedback for teachers and parents. Neighborhood News reporter Jada Jenkins spoke with West Oso school officials who say the overhaul of the STAR test is a positive change.
I think for teaching, it would be fantastic because you'll know where your students are and where their needs are. And for students who are waiting for those results for graduation, that's fantastic instead of waiting a month, 2 months for your results.
Now, the bill is heading up to the Texas Senate. If it becomes a law, students and teachers can expect the changes during the 2027-28 school year. And the NAACP is suing to block Texas's new congressional maps. The organization argues the maps discriminate on racial grounds. Last week, Texas Republicans passed a plan to redraw the state's congressional lines in an effort to help the GOP gain as many as 5 House seats in the 2026 midterms. The NAACP amended litigation it brought against Texas congressional maps drawn in 2021. At the time, the group also argued those maps were racially discriminatory. Nueces County leaders say they may have been a victim of a cyber scam and lost nearly $2 million. At a press conference today, interim auditor Constance Sanchez made the announcement saying all wire transfers are now frozen. She added all county payments will now be made on paper and payroll is not affected.
There are unfortunately many awful people out there wanting to do harmful things. These are the same people who target our grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, and uncles, and now Nueces County.
Well, Sheriff J.C. Hooper told KRIS 6 News the county does have insurance to cover losses. He says a detective has been working on the case for about a week and federal agencies are stepping in. Hooper says the money was essentially sent to the wrong place, but stopped short of calling it a hack.
Our ultimate goal is to recoup all financial losses and then also prosecute those accountable.
Now, officials are urging anyone who suspects fraud to call the FBI tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI.
A program focused on providing fair representation to those in need and accused of a crime has just been renewed. I'm Michaela Chavez, your Sunrise Neighborhood News reporter downtown. I'll tell you how the program works and what's different this time around. When someone is accused of a crime, they're entitled to legal representation. If they can't afford it, indigent defense steps in. In Oasis County, there are two models. The traditional model, private attorneys take cases and submit fee requests afterwards. But that system raises concerns.
And in order to get paid, they have to close cases. And in order to close cases, that's the way the system was set up, is it incentivizes you to work on as many cases as you can, as quickly as you can.
The newer model is public defense, launched here 3.5 years ago. Attorneys are paid a salary, not per case.
We can do our best work without that pressure, that incentive to close as many cases as possible.
They also have a built-in support team, investigators, social workers, and each other.
And we can benefit from each other's experience and strengths and talents on a daily basis.
The Public Defender's Office works alongside the traditional model. Since spring 2023, they've closed about 3,000 cases, nearly 2,000 just last year, with a team of 9 lawyers.
Sometimes it's not about winning, it's about the fight. And being able to fight for somebody and with somebody, you can't put that into words.
My goal is always to let them know that no matter what, if they have nobody in their corner, they have me.
Clients don't choose which model represents them. All attorneys are assigned through a random wheel system. Those who can't afford private counsel can pay for indigent defense, with the judge deciding who qualifies. The grant funding this program from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission pays for salaries, training, and research, covering a range of cases.
Our grant is anywhere from a Class B misdemeanor all the way up to a first-degree felony.
A key focus is mental health. About half their cases involve it. Obregon urges families to seek these resources before calling 911 during a crisis.
Because jail is not therapeutic for someone in a crisis.
The state fully funded the grant to start, but next year, the county begins contributing 20% annually until it's fully funded locally. Over the course of the efforts, the state will have invested $7.2 million.
Their investment is just a tremendous asset to the county, and that's why they were willing to take this innovative step 3 years ago and to continue it last week with agreeing to go forward with the next phase of the grant.
The plan is for the county to eventually take over the program. In Oasis County, I'm your Sunrise Neighborhood News reporter, Michaela Chavez, Chris 6 Sunrise.
All right, Michaela, thank you. And we had some rain over the past few days, but how is the rest of our week looking like? And are we going to have any more rain? For that, meteorologist Stephanie Lauber. Stephanie, tell us.
Well, we are going to see some changes. I'm not saying the rain is completely gone, but we're going to get a little bit of a break over the tail end of the week, Thursday and Friday specifically. And I think it's safe to say most of Saturday, but your Labor Day weekend is going to be a little bit of a flip-flop. We're going to have a dry and hot start before some of this returns to the radar. Today, some more opportunities for a good drink of rain across a few neighborhoods. I drove through a good downpour today on the crosstown, and yeah, this was all initiated by the sea breeze for most of us. There were some earlier showers in the northern counties, but what you're seeing right here, that is compliments of not only the sea breeze setting the spark, but we still have a front in the area that we're keeping a very close eye on and is impacting where the rain has happened today. So in this kind of environment, it can be hard to pinpoint some of the showers. Right now, we're still tracking a few of those just to the west of 77 or I-69 East in western Nueces County, eastern Jim Wells County. So Alice, that means some showers are headed your way, but I'll be mapping out what to expect for the rest of the week and a preview of that Labor Day forecast coming up.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. And this week marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast, making it the costliest natural disaster in U.S. history. While many lessons were learned from it, current and former FEMA employees worried that the Trump administration's recent cuts and policy changes may be creating an environment for another Katrina-like government response. In the 20 years since, FEMA has worked to not repeat those mistakes, but now warnings from dozens of current FEMA employees say they may not be prepared for the next natural disaster.
I do have concerns on if they're going to be allowed to continue with that great work that they have been doing.
Now, back in June, the Trump administration said the agency needed to go away, but in July, he said the organization was ran by good people. Now, in the letter titled Katrina Declaration, over 180 current and former FEMA employees accused the president and the Department of Homeland Security of undermining the agency's capabilities and appointing unqualified leadership. The letter warns that critical reforms enacted after the failed response to Hurricane Katrina are being unraveled as the Trump administration looks to drastically shrink FEMA's role. Dozens of FEMA workers were placed on leave after this letter was released. Now wanting to take a last-minute fall trip without, well, breaking the bank? Well, next, how you can save some money.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, welcome back. The unofficial end to summer is around the corner, and if you're looking to squeeze in a final trip before fall, there's some good news. Airfare and gas prices are down. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan has tips for travelers.
As the summer season comes to a close and cooler temperatures set in, travelers can look forward to dipping airfare and the cheapest gas prices we've seen since 2020.
It's going to get better after Labor Day and into mid-September. That's when we roll back to cheaper winter gasoline.
Patrick DeHaan with Gas Buddy says some parts of the country could see gas prices drop below $3 a gallon soon. As of Wednesday, the national average for a gallon of regular gas was $3.21. That's 14 cents cheaper than this time last year.
The bigger thing pushing prices lower this year has really been OPEC, who earlier this year raised production. That's pushed the price of oil down.
If you're hitting the roads this holiday weekend, AAA says the worst time to travel is Friday between noon and 8 p.m. and returning home Monday between 1 and 4 p.m.
I always advocate for hitting the road as early as possible, get a good night's sleep, fill up the night before.
Aixa Diaz with AAA says Labor Day isn't as popular as some of the other holiday weekends for travel because many students are back in school.
It's not like July 4th, where if a lot of people have summer vacations, there's a lot of, fluctuations in which days people are leaving. Same over Christmas. With Labor Day weekend, it's like most people are probably going to leave on Friday and come back on Monday.
If you're flying, domestic airfare is 6% cheaper than last year, according to AAA. Diaz says now is a great time to start booking an upcoming trip. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
All right, if you're heading out the door, maybe you're not done with the work week just yet. Here's a look at everybody else on SPID. If you're heading this way, we're looking to be moving a bit more smoothly than we were at this time yesterday, but still a lot of folks out on the road. So taking a look at the traffic maps, nothing too important to talk about on 37. The usual slowdowns as folks approach that crosstown interchange, some activity around downtown. The crosstown and SPID interchange is looking pretty good, and we've got a smooth flow. Again, a lot of folks out on the roadway, but we're rolling smoothly, and that's what counts. We call that flow, right? SPID and Staples, always a busy intersection. That is the case today, but Staples behaving better than usual. So as you head out, make sure you stay safe and drive safe. That's a look at your traffic report. Your forecast is next. Hey there, happy hump day. Wednesday is a day where we're happy either way, because if you're having a week, it's almost over. If you're enjoying the week, it's not done yet, but I think we're all in agreement. It's a holiday weekend coming up. We are ready for it. But there are some changes in the forecast. Are you ready for those? Oh, you haven't heard. We are going to kind of flip-flop our rain situation. So let me break it down for you, starting with what's going on right now. We're still seeing a few showers across the coastal bend. Of course, this was another afternoon where a select lucky few were able to get some good downpours across the area. I drove through one on the crosstown, and right now, the best downpour we see is now leaving Freer. We know it's a good drink of rain because we're not only seeing the green on the radar, we're seeing the yellows, oranges, and reds to go with it. So that indicates we've got a lot of water falling out of the sky there. Another good place to find some rain right now is going to be in western Nueces County, heading into Jim Wells County. So while there are a few sprinkles around Alice right now, this batch of rain that is headed your way is probably a better drink. Kind of like what we're seeing over Banquete right now, 44. You're going to find some showers between Robstown and Alice, and that's probably going to be the case for a while because as this rain moves away from the 77 corridor, Bishop's done with it. Driscoll still a few showers in the area. This is going to head toward 44. So if that's part of your commute home, well, you know what to expect. But officially by the numbers at our reporting stations, this is how the rain has shaped up today. A lot of this has been a coastal situation. We are reading nearly an inch of rain in Rockport, 0.81. And that's for our reporting station at the airport just south of Copano Bay. In contrast, in Ingleside picking up 0.07 of an inch, not a tenth, 0.07. 2 drops in the bucket, 2/100ths at CCIA, and nearly 1/4 of an inch in the Bluff at NAS Corpus Christi. There were also some good totals by radar estimate within the watershed. So you know what? Not too bad, especially for these neighborhoods closer to the coast. But we could take a closer look with the Chris 6 Neighborhood Weather Network, powered by your Tempest weather stations at home. So we get the view in your neighborhood this way. We're not seeing anything as of late across the southern part of the Bluff, south of SPID. No rainfall picked up there, but there have been some better amounts closer to NAS Corpus Christi. Now, temperatures have been impacted by the rain. Again, when we get some rainfall and move through a neighborhood, that cools down the temperature there, but it's very spotty, just like the nature of our rain. So 88 right now in Rockport, but still humid, feeling like 101. In contrast to 90 degrees in the Bluff, feeling like 101. And George West, you're back in the triple digits, 101, feeling like 104. So we are going to move away from this weather pattern because the thing that is bringing us the rain is also moving away from us. Take a look at the wide view. The big weather picture has been focusing on a front hanging out in North Texas, East Texas, and the northern Gulf Coast. This thing has been red and blue, at times red. Well, now the red, the warm front, is going to take over and kind of move away from us. That takes our rain chances with us and gives us that hot south wind that is going to make rain very hard to do and make hot temperatures very easy to accomplish. So I'm not saying there won't be any rain at all in the coastal bend. I'm saying it's going to be hard to come by. It'll be likely locked in our more northern and coastal neighborhoods and rain just offshore. So if you had plans to take the boat out for an early weekend, make sure you're keeping an eye on the forecast, because while we may not see any here around town, there are likely to be showers and thunderstorms over the waters. We're going to keep this pattern going through Friday and also parts of Saturday too. And while we're at it, these hot temperatures are warm for this time of the year. At this point, we're watching our average temperatures on a downward trend toward the end of the month to about 93 degrees, but we're still behind on that rainfall for the month. I'll tell you what the 7-day forecast and that holiday weekend looks like in just a few minutes.
Alrighty, folks, we want to remind you to join us tomorrow for a special edition of Chris 6 News at 6. We're taking an in-depth look at our current water crisis. So join us for Running Dry, the Coastal Bend's water crisis, tomorrow at 6, right here on Chris 6. Welcome back. An Ingleside woman's work in her community has blossomed into national recognition. We first introduced you to 96-year-old Jean Joyce last year when the city of Ingleside proclaimed August 21st as Jean Joyce Day. She's known for over 50 years of volunteer work with the groups like the Red Hat Society, Alzheimer's Association, and the Ingleside Gardening Club. Today, she was awarded with the National Garden Club Member of Honor Award for the South Central region. Neighborhood News reporter Adam Beam spoke with Joyce, who says she hopes her work will inspire others.
I just want to tell the older people to keep going. Don't just stay home and sit in a rocking chair. Get up and go. Do something, you know, to try and make other people's lives better.
Well, a totem pole in honor of Joyce's achievements will go into the Jean Joyce Garden outside of the Ingleside Senior Center on Main Street. And if you ever wondered what it feels like to be a multi-millionaire, well, you might be closer than you think. It's tonight's drawing. The Powerball jackpot has grown to over $815 million. Well, this is the 7th largest prize in history of the lotto, and the odds of winning one in more than $292 million. But hey, if someone beats those odds tonight, they could walk away with a cash payout of more than $367 million. And we spoke with some locals about what they would do if they won.
Always hope for the best, not getting too disappointed if I don't win, but when the jackpot gets this high, everyone gets interested, and I'm going to get my one ticket to hope for the best.
All right, hope for the best. No multi-millionaire winners have been reported in recent drawings, but there have been a few millionaires. In Monday's drawing, one player in Georgia and another in Texas each won $1 million.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, Chris 6 News has teamed up with the Gulf Coast Humane Society for the Clear the Shelters campaign. And each day this week, we're showcasing a furry friend that could give a new home to today. And today, we're highlighting Wynonna. Wynonna is a 6-year-old female black-mouthed cur mix. She is so sweet and so cute. Look at her. And she is shy, though she does have a playful side. Her love is unconditional and the type of companionship who will make you and make your house feel like a home. Now, if you want to meet Wynonna, go to the Gulf Coast Humane Society. That is at 3318 Cabanis. Alrighty, well, she is so cute. And look at her wearing a little blanket.
I love that. And you know, I had a friend who had a black-mouthed cur. They are very good if you're an adventurous person, you like to go out, go for walks, hikes, those kinds of things. And we might have the weather for that, but check out the pets, kids, and the elderly because the heat is coming back just before the Labor Day holiday. This begins tomorrow. I'm not saying there won't be any showers at all in the coastal bend tomorrow. There may be some just pinned toward the coastal neighborhoods, especially in our northern counties like Aransas County. But for the most part, we are hot and dry. South wind is going to steal the show. And now this forecast is kind of on stuff time. Won't be until about Sunday that we start to see those rain chances coming back to the mix. So good for those holiday plans.
All righty. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you here back at 6 o'clock.
Bye.